There are stories that linger in the darkness, mysteries that defy explanation, and encounters that leave an imprint on those who experience them. Tonight, we bring you 5 chilling incidents that remain unsolved. Stay until the end, but be warned. Some of these stories may follow you. Incident 1. The House That Watches. In a quiet neighborhood in Chicago, an old Victorian house sat abandoned for decades. No one dared enter, not even vandals. The few who approached said they felt something watching them, pressing against their skin like static electricity. In 2016, an urban explorer named Daniel decided to investigate. With a flashlight and a camera, he stepped inside. The air was stale, thick with the scent of rotting wood. But what unsettled him most was the faint sound of breathing. As he moved deeper inside, his camera captured something chilling. The windows were different. From the inside, they were boarded up. But on his footage, each window showed a pair of glowing eyes staring in. Terrified, he ran. The next day, he checked the footage again. But the house? It had been demolished years ago. Incident 2. The Radio That Knows. In 1988, a woman named Eleanor inherited an old wooden radio from her late grandmother. It hadn't worked in years, but one night, static suddenly crackled through the speakers. A voice, a woman's voice, called her name. "Eleanor, are you listening?" Thinking it was a prank, she unplugged the radio. The voice kept speaking. Panicked, she smashed the radio to pieces. But that night, as she tried to sleep, a faint static hummed from her closet, and a whisper followed. You should have listened. The next morning, Eleanor was found unconscious. The doctors said it was exhaustion. But when she woke up, she had one question. Who was speaking through the radio? Incident 3. The Bridge of the Forgotten. There's a bridge in West Virginia that locals refuse to cross at night. They say that if you walk across at exactly 3:33 a.m., you'll hear footsteps behind you. But if you turn around, there's nothing there. A group of friends tested the legend in 2012. Laughing, they walked to the middle of the bridge, cameras recording. At 3:33 a.m., the laughter stopped. Footsteps echoed behind them. Heavy, deliberate. One of them turned. His scream shattered the silence. The camera caught only a blur, something shifting in the shadows. When they ran, one of them tripped. The others pulled him up, but when they looked at his arm, handprints, deep and bruised, were wrapped around it. No one has tried crossing since. Incident 4. The Door That Shouldn't Exist. In 1975, a janitor working the night shift at a museum in Boston noticed something strange. A door that wasn't there before. It stood at the end of a hallway, slightly ajar. No labels, no markings. He opened it and found another hallway that shouldn't exist. Curious, he stepped inside. The hallway stretched far too long for the building's layout. The walls were lined with paintings of people staring directly ahead. As he reached the end, he turned back. The door he entered through? Gone. The next morning, security footage showed him entering the hallway at 2:14 a.m., but he was never seen coming out. The museum never acknowledged the missing employee. And the hallway? No one has ever found it again. Incident 5. The Phone Booth That Rings at Midnight. In a small town in Japan, there is an old phone booth that no one dares use. It sits by the side of a road, glass fogged over from the inside. At exactly midnight, the phone rings. If you answer, you hear your own voice, whispering something you don't remember saying. A man named Takashi answered the call in 2009. His own voice spoke back, "Don't go home." Chilled, he ignored it. That night, his apartment caught fire. He barely escaped, but when he checked his phone the next day, there was a voicemail. It was him, from the night before. But the message was longer, and this time his voice ended with a whisper. Next time, you won't make it." Takashi moved away, but the phone booth still rings at midnight, waiting for someone else to answer. Some stories fade into legend. Others remain unsolved, lingering just beneath the surface of reality. What do you think? Are these incidents the result of coincidence or something much darker? Let us know your thoughts, and if you want more, be sure to like, subscribe, and join us next time if you dare.